my namesake, Catherine Maher, was head of NPR, and she said, "We're completely unbiased. Give me a break, lady." I mean, they're crazy far left.
If you look on the right side, Jamie, where it says the truth is a distraction from getting things done, that is such a fucking Orwellian thing to say. Click on that just so you can hear her say this, because it's so bananas that someone would say this out loud and not think it's...
One of the most significant differences, critical for moving from polarization to productivity, is that the Wikipedians who write these articles aren't actually focused on finding the truth.
Oh, no.
They're working for something that's a little bit more attainable, which is the best of what we can know right now. And after 7 years there, I actually believe that they're onto something. That for our most tricky disagreements, seeking the truth and seeking to convince others of the truth isn't necessarily the best place to start. In fact, I think our reverence for the truth might have become
what?
A bit of a distraction that is preventing us from finding consensus and getting important things done.
What?
Oh my God.
Bill Maher just lit NPR on fire, and trust me, it was savage. The outlet that's supposed to be neutral and balanced, he exposed them as anything but. Instead of calling balls and strikes, NPR picked a side, and Maher wasn't about to let it slide. In pure Maher fashion, he roasted them for failing at the one job they brag about, telling the truth. And honestly, it was hilarious and brutal at the same time.
PR and PBS testified before Congress this week amid accusations of liberal bias. Should the government continue to send taxpayer dollars to public broadcasters? Well, a little background here. I mean, they've been after them the Republicans have wanted to get rid of PBS for as long as I can remember. This crowd will probably do it. I mean, I also read my namesake, Catherine Maher, was head of NPR, and she said, "We're completely unbiased. Give me a break, lady." I mean, they're crazy far left.
Maher didn't dance around it. He flat out said it. NPR and PBS are way out on the far left. And guess what? Even their own people have admitted it. Remember April 2024, when NPR's senior editor, Yuri Berliner, blew the whistle? He exposed how the network had completely surrendered to progressive groupthink. And then came the kicker. NPR's own CEO confessed they buried the Hunter Biden laptop story when it actually mattered. Selective oops? Yeah, right. Congress even dragged NPR and PBS in 2025 for obsessing over race, gender, and identity politics while pretending to be neutral. Martin just called them biased. He torched them fire.
I think we're past the age, really, where the government, first of all, why do we need to subsidize? Why can't we have outlets like this? And we're so polarized. These outlets became popular at a time when Republicans and Democrats didn't hate each other and weren't at each other's throats and didn't think each other was an existential threat. In that world, you can't have places like this, I think, anymore. They have to be private.
And honestly, Maher's got a point. Think about it. NPR and PBS run on government money. That means whoever's in power can lean on them, twisting coverage into propaganda. Once you're living off tax dollars, you're no longer just reporting. You're vulnerable to becoming the mouthpiece of the state. That's not journalism. That's PR with fancy label.
I think Yuri Berliner, ex-NPR employer, his piece this week, where he said that they should just let go of the funding. I love NPR. I listen to NPR almost every day, have since 1975, when my parents used to play it in our Chevrolet Caprice when I was like 9 years old. I love it for its point of view, but since 2020, it has no longer been general. I remember in 2021, my then 9-year-old asked me, and of course she has no sense of context, I don't pump her full of things like this. She said from the back seat, in a very different car, she said, "Daddy, why is it that NPR is always playing the same thing?" And I said, "What do you mean the same thing?" And I swear she said, now she doesn't have a vocabulary, but she said, "It's always about how somebody can't do something." And that what she was getting at was that. I wouldn't have said that about the NPR that I knew back in the day, and I wouldn't have said it 10 years ago, but that is what it is now.
Just look at the last election cycle. NPR went after Trump like a heat-seeking missile rocket. Every word, every stumble, every slip was replayed 100 times. Even NPR's own public editor admitted they were flooded with complaints about unfair coverage. Instead of chasing truth, it felt like they were staging a pressure campaign to sway undecided voters. Journalism or a hit job dressed up as journalism? You decide.
Was funding NPR is crazy. Yeah. Like this, you can't have a completely biased, one-sided media organization that's funded by the government and taxpayers. That's crazy. And they went over all the amount of people that were on NPR that were Democrats, and it's 100%.
Yeah.
It's like out of 87 people, it's 100%.
Look at the New York Times.
Yeah.
I mean, so that none of that should be a surprise to anybody who's
But the New York Times is
paying
at least a privately funded company.
Right.
I mean,
right.
It's like NPR relied on tax money, and there's this giant outrage that the government's going to defund.
Here's the wild part. Nearly 80% of NPR's newsroom is made up of Democrats. Let that sink in. This isn't a private blog with a bias sticker on it. It's a taxpayer-funded agency that's supposed to serve everyone. A fair split, 50-50, might actually give us balance. Instead, it's a left-wing echo chamber where the other half of America barely exists. No wonder trust in journalism is collapsing. And Mark calling it out? That just exposed a rot.
The reality is the internet exists.
Yeah.
And you don't need to publicly fund something that's clearly biased when the internet exists.
Right.
You can get whatever you want. If you want to just absorb and consume only left-wing media, there's so much available. Right. You can go find it. But our tax dollars should not be going to that.
No. And to be fair, if anybody wants to know what the hell's going on in the news, they can just listen to the President's Daily Brief podcast, frankly.
Oh, your podcast.
I'm good,
yeah.
right? Yeah, that's some... Yeah, boy, I just stuck that in there.
I can't find it.
Joe Rogan jumped in on this too, and he's not wrong. With the internet, anyone can access dozens of independent sources in seconds. You don't need to swallow government-funded narratives when you can fact-check in real time. Sure, there's noise online, but at least you're free to compare and decide for yourself. The monopoly is broken, and legacy outlets hate it.
Show me a story that concerns you. That's fantastic.
As far as the accusations that we're biased, I would stand up and say, please show me a story that concerns you, because we want to know and we want to bring that conversation back to our newsroom.
And then all this fat phobia, its racist past and present. Some white people may choose thumbs up because it feels neutral, but some academics argue that opting out, what does that mean? Thumbs up signals lacks awareness about white privilege, akin to society associating whiteness with being raceless. What?
God.
What does that mean?
Or how about how racism became a marketing tool for country music?
Oh, yeah.
Here's the mask-off moment. NPR claims neutrality, but scroll through their site and you'll see it. Article after article leaning left. While Republican stories get buried, downplayed, or framed with suspicion, this isn't balance. It's agenda. And when Trump says defund NPR, he's not pulling out of thin air. Why should taxpayers bankroll bias? Public money deserves public trust, and NPR's burned through it.
Jamie, where it says the truth is a distraction from getting things done. That is such a fucking Orwellian thing to say. Click on that just so you can hear her say this, because it's so bananas that someone would say this out loud and not think it's...
One of the most significant differences, critical for moving from polarization to productivity, is that the Wikipedians who write these articles aren't actually focused on finding the truth.
Oh, no.
They're working for something that's a little bit more attainable, which is the best of what we can know right now. And after 7 years there, I actually believe that they're onto something. That for our most tricky disagreements, seeking the truth and seeking to convince others of the truth isn't necessarily the best place to start. In fact, I think our reverence for the truth might have become
what?
A bit of a distraction that is preventing us from finding consensus and getting important things done.
What?
Oh my God.
At the end of the day, NPR isn't chasing truth. It's shaping consensus. Instead of presenting raw facts, they spoon-feed narratives that line up perfectly with Democrat talking points. From cultural issues to elections, it's not watchdog journalism. It's megaphone activism. And when Maher called them out, he wasn't just being funny. He was being right.
Media to admit that they blew the whole thing way out of proportion, because as always with media these days, They don't cover what's most important, just what's most fun to watch. There are 15.2 million college students in the U.S., and 2,300 have been arrested. That's 1/67th of 1%, and half of the ones in New York weren't even students. But we were given the false impression that these protesters are the voice of their generation, having found a cause for which they were willing to go to the tents and to the barricades. Oh, please, these kids are more violent when their team wins a championship.
And let's be real, today's media doesn't even care about facts. Outrage sells. Scandal trends. Ratings come first. Remember those campus protests? The media acted like it was a nationwide revolution, when in reality less than 1/100 of 1% of students were even involved. But chaos gets clicks, so chaos is what they sold. The truth? Buried.
And the whole world is watching. They're right. But only because you assholes with the cameras won't show anything else. Isn't there a bear in a swimming pool somewhere you should be covering?
So here's the takeaway. Bill Maher's takedown of NPR pulled the curtain back on the whole industry. It's not about facts anymore. It's about spectacle, control, and clicks. When journalism becomes theater, democracy pays the price. And if the media doesn't fix itself soon, propaganda won't just creep in. It'll take over completely.